trying to ensure that they do look for the local option when they're shopping. And then, as well as trying to revitalise some of our towns and villages, you know, making more of an effort with our Christmas decorations, making sure that, you know, the public realm is free for businesses to use for queuing, you know, getting the signage up, and I suppose trying to be responsive, you know, as businesses come to us looking for support, making sure that that support is there. Delighted to be online today to listen to Bernard Brogan. I'm really looking forward to hearing him this lunchtime. Just to welcome Bernard and to acknowledge that I suppose I would have known him up to now as a pretty good footballer, but I know he's a serial entrepreneur as well, and the local enterprise office here in Fingal has supported him at times as he launched Legacy Sports and Entertainment and Pep Talk. So really looking forward to hearing from you, Bernard, today. I don't want to sign off as if everything is well. I know your businesses are suffering quite a bit right now. I know there's more that we can do, and I know there's more that our local enterprise offices will do next year to support you. I know you've been so agile and adaptive this year to try and reimagine what you do and trying to deal with the circumstances you found yourself in. I hope we've helped in some small way. We'll still be here for you next year, so make sure you make contact with your local enterprise office if you need any help that we can give you. I'm, through this City and County Managers Association, leading the Economic Development Group on behalf of all local authorities. I can tell you that there is real engagement with government departments in relation to the emergence from COVID and dealing with post-Brexit scenario. You'll be hearing more from that as we move along. There's not solutions to everything, but I think if we will all work together, if we communicate well and understand what the problems are, I think we can come up with new ways of doing things, and hopefully we'll all end up bigger and stronger next year and the year after that. So listen, thanks a million. I'm not going to hold up Bernard any longer.
Thank you, AnnMarie. And you'll be delighted to know that over the last couple of weeks, AnnMarie, that we've had facilitated networking events. We've used the platform Zoom and some of the features. And one of the features was breakout rooms where you could go into a room of your choice. One of the most popular rooms was Shop Local, where people were going in. And I know you launched that initiative a couple of weeks ago of search for Shop Local, and definitely people were doing that on the platform. So thank you for opening up the session, which has been a massive success over the last couple of weeks. And I'm delighted that we're finishing on such a high, as in a very difficult time that we've had getting through the pandemic. But what better way to finish out with some great words from yourself, but also to welcome in the legend that is Bernard Brogan. But we'll give him a proper introduction in a second. So let's kick off. Now, for those that don't know, this guy has a little bit of a history behind him. And just to remind him as we build it up, Bernard, you're going to kill me for this. I was a Jimmy Keaveney man, but there you go. You know, it's no introduction, but in case you did, here's Bernard in action.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Well, now I tell you, if there's ever an issue, that goes on forever. Like, you scored too many goals, Bernard. What can I tell you? No, absolutely. How are you? And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks a million all for having me, and AnnMarie for your kind words. Yeah, delighted to join and knock around a few ideas. I know, yeah, we're all still innovating and coming up with ways of getting after opportunity and future growth. So glad to be on.
It's great to have you. And as you actually said there earlier on, people will know you for a few things. I think AnnMarie mentioned it there, that not just from the footballing background, but there's, as an entrepreneur, and we're going to deal with that. But you know, how are you, by the way? Like everyone else here in the room, this has been unprecedented. So how's yourself, Ciara, and the kids coping?
Yeah, good. This last lockdown has been a tougher one. I think we've been through all the emotions that we've all been through. The initial, let's give it a lash, we're all in. We all rallied around each other. There was loads of charity, there was loads of energy during the summer, and then it was kind of, okay, this looks like it's going to be around for a while. And then the second lockdown was tough for everyone to take. I also have 2 pubs that I have, as well as the 2 businesses that I've worked with you guys on closely over the last 8 years, and that they've obviously been closed. They're just opening up again, with new offerings, new food, new innovation, and new experience for the consumer. So yeah, like, but personally, tough couple of weeks. The twins at home, 2.5 years of age. Obviously great. Positive was great to spend so much time with them. I've been trying to get home 5 o'clock, 4:30 every day to make sure they spend a couple of hours with them. Probably logging on a little bit in the afternoon after that, then in the evening time to look at some stuff. But yeah, I've actually nice bit of a balance there. As much as it's been tough, but we've been out of the contact circles with our granny and granddad, my mum and dad, so those type of things have been tough. But yeah, I'm positive about the future, and hopefully not a lockdown in January, but I know we'll at least we'll have a bit of joy at Christmas. We all need a little bit of a break, which is important.
Yeah, and it's great to hear it. And then those that don't know, and I know AnnMarie in an introduction there mentioned it, there are a couple of businesses that you and I met on that long journey. So Pep Talk and Legacy. Let's go for Legacy first. So Legacy was set up with James, wasn't it? And initially that was set up with one idea in mind, and it evolved along the way, didn't it?
Absolutely, like all ideas, they evolve, and you figure out what the consumer wants, or what the people want. James came to me with an idea about kind of looking after sports people, sports management. He was a lawyer, I'm an accountant. I was playing sport, and Ireland is obviously a fantastic, GA is a fantastic network. And every door in Ireland, more or less, has been open to us when we've asked for it. So Legacy, we evolved very quickly, understanding the shark-infested waters of sport, of soccer management, player management in the UK. We did a little bit of that, but very quickly moved into sponsorship. And for the first 4 years, we looked after activating sponsorships, public relations, media relations, grassroots initiatives, and I've evolved from there into, as you see there, some brand stories with impact into consumer PR, hotels, restaurants, products, brands you see on the shelves in the supermarkets, which kept us alive over COVID, as well as working with Dublin City Council and Dublin Town on some on the reopening of Dublin City again, a really big important initiative for us that kept us going through COVID, but we were really proud to be involved in. Yeah, we evolved about, I think we're 8 years going at the moment. We are based down in Lucan, and we have 15 staff and a couple of part-timers as well. So, and I very much worked with you guys, especially in the early years. You gave us a lot of advice and some great help with some grants for employees when we were getting that up and away, and taking that initial help along the way, but also some networking, some seminars, some kind of startup kind of sessions that we did. So yeah, and that's been a great journey. And Legacy, as I said, we did sponsorship, we evolved into consumer, and we're very much what COVID has given us headspace and time to innovate and to pivot or look for the future, and the future's in digital. We did live in digital marketing. We have influencer relations. We did digital marketing. We did a flavor of it. But now, having looked throughout that time over the last number of months, and AnnMarie's mentioning 4,000 new business going online, we're just acquiring a business, or in the process of acquiring a business down in Cork that's going to put us into the SEO and search space. So basically, we'll do brand, we will do reputation, we will look after your brand awareness, but we'll also look at that demand generation, be it a B2B or be a consumer. And fundamentally, what you have to do is, yes, you want to be seen and be in the papers and be online and social and influencers, but at the end of the day, you have to drive conversions, you have to drive demand, and to push people. And where that's going is pushing people onto your website, your own platform. So we wouldn't have had the headspace. We've been moving in that direction slowly and organically, but over the period when we've had a bit of time, I think it's given everyone a bit of time to take that helicopter view. We are, in my world, is very much a hamster wheel. We're always getting after things, and I love the colour of trust, and that every day is different, but sometimes you don't take that strategic look. And hopefully it has given everyone time to look at your businesses from a strategic point of view, and to look at what the future is. Like, what is the landscape of your consumers going forward, and how you interact with them. And that's fundamentally, we were really excited. Like, I've talked to a couple of people about this, and I look, and I always get asked about what sport and business, how have you learned? I brought over transitions of lessons learned, and I've had loads of injuries over the years, a couple of big ones, and I always said to myself, how do I come out of this injury? Oh, I'm a glass half full type guy. I said, oh, how do I come out of this injury in this time better than when I went into it? How to become a better athlete? How to become a better person out of it? So because we train and we work the same as everyone else, we do the same amount of hours. Yes, we work hard, and there's other people working hard as well. And it's the same on the sporting pitch. So you do the same with the skill set. You train Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, you go to the gym, everyone else in the team is doing the same. So how do you get marginal gains and competitive advantage? So I said, when I'm injured, I'm going to work on something that's going to make me better when I come back than when I was. So I used this chance with Legacy to say that. I remember the team, getting the team around, I think it was virtually, and saying, we built culture as well. I'm very passionate about culture, obviously. I says, this is why we invest in culture for times like this. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be some tough stuff. We're going to have to work. We're going to have to innovate. We're going to have to think of things. It's going to be times of uncomfort. We take a small, in fairness to staff, and the government scheme helped us. The staff literally only took a 4% pay cut over the period, which was amazing. But the senior team took 15, 20%, including myself. I said, it's going to be times like this, but this is what culture is about. This is why we have unlimited holidays in Legacy. It's why we went to Marbella last year with 15 of us drinking pints and having crack. It says, so that when times of challenge come, that we row in, we support each other, and we get through it and come out of it better.
You know, and it's brilliant that Legacy brand stories with impact, but you have to have a story to be able to deliver it with impact. And I know you're telling that on behalf of a lot of your clients, but your own story and the sport influence, you can hear it there in some of the things you're saying. And the local enterprise office in Fingal did a pilot program over the last couple of months. It was called Sports to Start Up. So it was sports people who had dedicated their careers, their early careers, as you did, in their early 20s and into their 30s. And then what do you do when the career is over? And look at entrepreneur and set up a business. But they found that the qualities that they had as a team player, as a sports professional, certainly helped in business. Did you find that helping you when you were setting up initially?
Yeah, absolutely. Like the lessons that I learned from sport were very much transitioned into my business, and two key things, and then loads of small things. The two key things for me was everything we did in sport was a foundation of hard work. There's no silver bullet. There's no culture going to get you out of a problem or any of these little nuggets, humility, all these nice things you say about culture. Fundamental, the bedrock of all of our performance was remember the slide, and Pat Gilroy, I can see it in front of me. You had the pyramid as we have when you're presenting something of different steps and ladders. And the very foundation pillar was always hard work and effort. And there's a saying that I think Paul O'Connell used to use. I think Warren Gatland said it to him. I was looking at it this morning, because there's only thing about myself. Is let's work on the things that take no skill, no talent. Let's work on those things and get those things right, because everyone else will fall into place. So that was the first thing, was about hard work. And if you work hard, if you're passionate about something, you work hard at something, you will make it a success. Anything, any line of business, no matter anyone on this call, whatever they do, if you're passionate about it and you work at it, eventually will work for you. Because people buy into people and they believe in passion. Second thing was understanding, clarity about my strengths, your strengths, and getting the team around you. So I was lucky in an entrepreneur. I think I'd always say try and if you're becoming an entrepreneur, or a lot of people in Scotland have already done it, but having someone there along the journey, and having my cousin James and family, and they say don't go into business with your family, but we have a relationship that we were able to call each other out. We're different qualities. I'm more outgoing, yellow, creative, and he's more systematic, detail. He's a lawyer. Now I'm an accountant by trade, but I'm not a typical accountant. But yeah, having that team dynamic and understanding your place in the team, and having the self-awareness to know your strengths, and more importantly than that, know your weaknesses. I have some strengths. I have more weaknesses than strengths in the business world, as I had on the sporting pitch. But trying to hone in on my strengths, and then building a team around me that works on the other pieces, because no one's going to have all the answers, and if you think you do, you'll either burn yourself out or you'll fail.
You've mentioned a couple of people there on your journey, and Pat Gilroy was one of them. And one of the things that the local enterprise office provide as a service to people starting up a business and staying in business is a mentor. you know, mentorship is really important, where you find an expert in their field, whether it be from an entrepreneur point of view, marketing, sales, advice. How important was those mentorship roles of some of those people that you mentioned in the development of Bernard Brogan, not just the sports person, but the family man and the businessman, the entrepreneur?
I think it's massive, and it's something I've only come back around to. Me and James have been only talking about it in the last couple of months, because it's something that should always be part of your plan as an individual and personal development, no matter how successful or whatever journey you're on. And sometimes, like in the last year or so, James gone into pep talk to talk about. I'm fundamentally more in legacy. We're churning away, and you're getting after stuff. Some stuff's working, and you're busy. And we kind of took the eye off the ball on the mentorship piece, and we just came back around on it. But fundamentally, Pat would have actually mentored us initially in business. He's a very successful businessman, built and sold a couple of businesses, and in the early days would have given us some great advice. And then at different stages over our journey, we kind of, mentors don't have to be with you for 50 years. I mean, it's great if you can have someone like that. Other people have helped us along the way, and it's framed our mindset around our board, and we have we're trying to mature our board as well. And Legacy Pep Talk's a bit better. It's a tech company. It has to have a bit more governance, and it's a bit more organized in its board structures. But bringing people in around you that can complement or help the skills that you don't have fundamentally. But then also having someone that you can bounce ideas off is very important. And I've engaged a new personal mentor of mine, a fellow called Donna Kelly from KN Cersei, a very successful businessman, Donegal man. And that's he's a guy that we started doing a bit of work with, and I just really been intrigued by his passion, by his entrepreneurism, by his drive. And I just saw some qualities. I said, geez, I want a bit of that. So I asked him, would he spend a bit of time with me? We've done a couple of sessions. So literally, there's always time to get better, to have personal, to go after personal growth. Because there's loads of still opportunity, ambition. Things are going well, and we'll come out of COVID hopefully okay. In Legacy, the year will kind of petered out okay. We lost 50-60% of our business in the middle of it. Our big clients, the likes of AIG, Energy, Alea, kept on our retainers and things like that were just life-saving, to be honest. And a lot of them were in sport, which sport turned off. Now we were doing something, we were getting after planning some stuff that we were working for it, but I'm sure there's been a lot of people on this call where people have went above and beyond to support them in their endeavors, and we'll be forever grateful for those type of people, you know.
And, you know, to segue from mentorship into the culture that you mentioned, and we'll get on to pep talk in a second, but, you know, John Maxwell, from a leadership point of view, I think is a great saying that you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, you know, so you surround yourself with good people, you're going to improve your average skill set, which is great. So pep talk, you've mentioned a couple of times, and I know James is there, and you'll be looking after Legacy. What is pep talk and how important it is? Because we titled today's session as Rebuilding Your Team and Customer Interactions. Yeah. And pep talk helps with those workplace well-beings, don't they?
Yeah. Pep talk grew organically out of a demand in Legacy. We were working with big corporates, and because of my sporting background and conversations like this, they asked us, would we come in and talk to them about employee engagement, about nutrition, about leadership, about building team culture. And that evolved from us going in doing talks initially, and then after a while it was just literally Legacy. We're executing under Legacy. We said, okay, there's no scalability in this. If you actually want to enable change in an organization, you have to change habits, you have to change the culture, and that can't be done by, you can bring over Alex Ferguson, you can bring over whoever the best speakers in the world are, come into an organization, and it'll be great, and we'll all have a bit of fun for half an hour, and you might take 2 nuggets away from it, but you go back into your habits and you just go back to normal. I actually read something on social media this morning, and I actually, it was amazing. It said, if you want to form change, you join a group that has your desired behaviors as their norm. It was a really nice way of looking at it. It just came across my page. So basically, if you want to change a habit, you surround yourself, you say there about culture, you surround yourself with people whose norm it is to operate at that behavior. It might be your desired, you might be great at it, but then in time, your habits will change because you're just fitting into that group. And Pep Talk is a community that is, yes, it's about well-being, it's content, it's that, but it's fundamentally about how do we drive behavioral change in an organization. So working with the organization, working with managers, and working with the individual. And the key bit of that actually only came out, it was only since COVID, really started thinking about it, about managers. We're really thinking about culture. People leaders, managers, leaders on this call, everyone, even whether you're not the owner or CEO or the senior team of an organization, you dictate the culture for the reports that are reporting to you, direct reports. When we talk about big organizations, the CEO and senior leadership team are great that they buy into it, and usually especially in COVID, they understand the challenges that people working at home and on their bed, on their table. So obviously there was a need, but middle managers are the key to engagement and to facilitation, and that's something we've developed a new piece of our product that way. But fundamentally, yeah, sorry, the long-winded way of answering your question. Pep Talk is a workplace well-being platform. It's a technology that integrates into an organization to help them support, I suppose, but also get after that cultural change in the organization.
And we've had a cultural change from the organisation. So the culture is working from home, or as somebody said, and you love this with the two guys as well, parenting from work. You know, you're at home at the moment, but and juggling between the two. I think from a Pep Talk point of view, we really need to look out for help, whether it be mentorship or an online digital platform like this, to help in the workplace as we adapt to what is the new normal, or the next normal, as we call it. How have you guys been planning for 2021 and the challenges that it's going to face?
And yeah, Pep Talk's been a bit opposite. As I said, I've had 3 businesses that have had 3 different situations during COVID. Obviously, the 2 pubs got closed literally since day one. But Portlaoise and Kilkenny, both of them are in. Portlaoise open for a period, has food in it. We brought in food into Kilkenny. They're both open now, thank God. But so they were gone. They were literally, there's nothing happening with them. Legacy, 60-70% hit, and then we rebuilt it with innovation, and we had actually pivoted or kind of hybrided the model going forward in 2021. Pep Talk, obviously, because of the environment and the challenge for people at home and the future of work going to evolve, it's actually an opportunity. And we're in the middle of a fundraise, and now fundraising is quite difficult at the moment. A lot of VCs and stuff are actually trying to support their current portfolio. Obviously, some of them have worked well. COVID has shown that some industries are flying, the pharma, certain industries have gone really well, fintech and online, and other industries have had it tough, as I'm sure there's different demographics in this call. So the fundraising piece is hard, but we've had a kind of a good COVID in that sense, is that there's been loads of demand, and we have onboarded a lot of new clients, and the future is optimistic for Pep Talk. We're actually figuring out how do we get after the opportunity. There's a timeline on this. There's a definite market need. So we are trying to make sure we're equipped and resourced to get after that over the next 6 to 12 months. And we're internationalizing. We have some international clients. During COVID, we rolled out globally with PayPal, which was amazing. Amazing brand to be working with. We rolled out globally with AIB, who has, obviously is an Irish bank, but has subsidiaries in the US and the UK, and a couple of other international clients. So it's been positive that way, and it's about trying how to build the business and resource. So we did get some funding and to get us up and away for next year, and it's about how do we distribute that funding in a proper way that's going to help our growth. So it's mainly about marketing and sales. So I just see I've had to put on different hats several times each day, which has been great and challenging at the same time.
Actually, we just stop, listen, sure, if you do a quick Google of you, have a podcast. I mean, where's Bernard time going to come from?
I was talking to somebody the other day and say, do you ever feel like you bit off a bit too much more than you can chew? So obviously the GA Championship is going on at the moment, which has been great, and culminating with the Dubs, please God, winning at the weekend. And the Super Value podcast that was working off the ball over the last few weeks, and they had one with Jack McCaffrey this week that's just gone down a storm. He's an absolute gent of a guy who very honest about challenges of professional sport, or not professional sport, amateur sport. That's and I released a book this year as well in September. So so it's been a hectic year.
Where are you getting the time from it? Like, absolutely. Now you're at the stealing the thunder a little bit because we're coming up to Christmas, Bernard, and the local enterprise office and AnnMarie Farrelly and the guys in Fingal County Council have very kindly bought quite a few of your books, and we're going to give them away to some of the audience here today. So I'll do that in a second, but there you are. That was all lined up and ready to go. So that'll be part of our little Christmas stocking, but we'll do that, and I'll show you how we're doing that shortly. A quick reminder, this is interactive. So we've have over 60 people in the room, and the chat is open, and a quick shout out to a few people that are here. David Rooney, by the way, who people don't know. David has been joining us for the last couple of weeks, and he's a visual artist, and he's been drawing as we're talking. He's doing a visual representation in cartoon format of everything we're talking about. So they'll be available for download later on. And in the chat, if you want to ask any questions of Bernard, very welcome to take your questions. Or if you want to ask live, underneath the participant list, click raise hand, little blue hand comes up beside your name, and we'll unmute you and you can have a chat to Bernard. And before we give away his book, James Brennan's in the chat, and we started off with some Irish music as we were going through to keep the shop local team. And James is reminding me that the Coronas online concert is on later on. And talking about culture, Bernard, they're donating the proceeds of everything to the production staff, everything that they wear. So it's great to see that kind of culture of looking after each other. And it's brilliant. Now, Zita has asked, what tips would you give to drive traffic to your website?
What tips would I give to drive traffic to your website? That is a great question. Fundamentally, I think what we're trying to do is you have to understand, obviously, your audience. You have to understand where your audience is living. What watering holes are they engaging with? And then there's a number of ways. There is, for us, it's about we're trying to really live in content. Hold on there. The postman here, 1 second. Our front line, he knocks on the window as I'm here, so give me 1 second.
Not at all. So listen, while you're doing that, I'm going to get people to sign in for today. So we have a very, very simple way of doing this. And let me just pop this up on the screen for you. And we'll bounce through. You're all right, Bernard. So I'm segueing here while you're doing this. Yeah. They're all bills, Bernard. They're all bills. Look after them. So I'm going to pause you a second just while you're segueing in through. So I'm going to ask everyone in the room, what we're going to do is we will see how many people we have in the room here. We've about 57, but we're going to ask you to go to menti.com. And if you put in that code 3075090, there's a QR code on the screen there. So if you have your mobile phone, it saves all the hassle. Just shine the little camera at it and it'll open up on your phone. What we're going to ask you to do is sign in. Now, if you have registered for today's seminar, today's session, and if you log in here and it matches that you've signed in, you will get a book. There you go. So if you put in, it's a little bit longer sign in than previously, because it is not just your name and email, which we normally ask for to be able to send you a correspondence. We're going to ask you for your postal address as well. So from a GDPR point of view, it is for the sole purpose to send you out a copy of Bernard Brogan's The Hill. Right, and it's a super book. It ended up as a birthday present for me. I know it's on the way, Bernard. The birthday isn't here yet. It's a couple of days away yet. But yeah, it's sitting in the it's in a little pack underneath the tree. I knew it was it because I kind of ripped it by mistake. I didn't mean to, but there you go. So it's there. I'm looking forward to reading it. So if you fill out on menti.com 3075090, and we'll get you to fill out that form, and we'll get some books out to you in the post. So as I say there, Bernard, we're saying rebuilding your team and customer interactions. And one of the questions was there, how do you drive traffic to your website? But it is about what people are looking for and then engaging with them online. And you said you're looking at a company in Cork that deals with that, isn't that right?
Yeah, so we are like our PR world, we would be about driving either social media, driving stories in the newspaper, building your reputation. Fundamentally, what you want to do, as you say there, is about driving traffic and driving demand. So basically, if you find out where your audience is living, how do you engage in that space? So if it's a newspaper PR with digital PR, so how we are evolving and our mindset is evolving. Instead of just landing a paper in independent.ie or in the actual paper, we want to go to independent.ie. We want the link from there. As you read the article, it links back to your website. And that is about asking, and that's not a norm. People might think that's a simple thing, but it's called link building. What that does is that drives people to your website, but also gives you authority. That means that independent.ie think that you're reputable, and that will drive your Google analytics and drive you up the rankings against your competitors. So the more of that link building you have, the more content you have that if people search for. If you have a blog about where to buy Christmas trees and you're selling Christmas trees and you say, we're the best Christmas tree maker, we have loads of sizes, here's some pictures, here's a video. Google will like that because you're giving information and helping people. They'll put that up into Google and for people to search, and then you will be found there. So it's about understanding where your audience is and how do you communicate with them. And there's loads of different ways. Obviously, there's traditional PR, there's digital, the social media. Influencers are obviously massive. So when you're working with influencers, making sure they're using your website, making sure they're using your click-throughs, that when people are interacting with them, they know where to go.
No, it's brilliant. So the questions are flying now, and I know I promised you a hard stop in a couple of minutes, but we'll keep them going and see how we get on. So we've got Anne Hughes has wrote a really long question, but she is a natural health practitioner in acupuncture, herbal medicine, and naturopathy, and she is moving into being able to deliver a box of pain relief and anxiety and insomnia tools. Her question is, when building her team from scratch, do you look for skills or do you look for diversity? You know, and there's a follow on there. I think Aoife O'Brien asks it as well. What do you think makes for a good, positive work culture? So what do you look like when you're, or what do you look for when you're looking for team players and team members?
It's not CV, it's not education is important, obviously, and there's a certain skill level that you have to need to actually to do. If you're hiring for a role, you obviously have to have a certain capability to do that. If you're doing accounts, you're not going to become an accountant or do the finance if you haven't done accounts. But fundamentally for me, it's about that individual. It's about passion, about diversity. It's about bringing people around you that can add value to you, that give you a perspective, give you knowledge that you don't have already. So always look. Whenever we've obviously evolved as a startup, in 2 years, me and James didn't nearly pay ourselves, and we built up one by one. Whenever we got a chance to hire or the opportunity came, whether someone left or whether we saw an opportunity for business, we always hired in experience. So we hired up. So we hired into the future. We didn't just hire to solve that problem. We hired a skill set or an individual that's going to add value in another place. That's why at the moment, the company we're looking at in Cork is going to add massive value because the skill set that none of us have is going to give us a different perspective on how we add value for our clients. So our future world would be, yes, we're going to have new client base in the digital world, but also upselling to our clients and performing better for them. Our 30 or 40 clients we have now, how do we actually do a better service for them? And we'll be able to do that now because we'll be more digitally focused, more demand for their products.
That's great, Bernard. I mentioned David Rooney, the visual note taker, earlier on, and he's just popped in. He said, Bernard gave me my first shot at a pep talk culture day a year and a half ago. So he's giving you a big shout out there. Thank you, David.
Well, David. We still have it up on the wall in the office as well, the picture of it.
It's brilliant. So Logan McLean, have you worked with any teams from the public sector as well as the private sector?
With Pep Talk, we are trying to do a bit. We've engaged with a few. I suppose that the challenge there is that obviously there's a tender process. There's a bit more competitive. For startups, for smaller businesses, it's a more challenging world because you're up against maybe more established businesses, and there's a rigor and there's a certain thresholds, and there's a lot more due diligence that needs to be done. But yeah, I think Pep Talk obviously is a workplace well-being solution where there's a massive need for that in the public sector. It's a big part of our employee base for Ireland. We haven't actually. It was definitely part of our growth plan, but it's not the lowest hanging fruit, if I'm honest. There is challenges to it. We went for one tender that we didn't get, unfortunately, last year. We lost out to someone, but I think those things are they're important for brand build and for credibility. They show your future clients that there is due diligence and there's thought into it. So it gives you a mark of quality to get those clients. So any chance you have, great. Just sometimes can be a little bit challenging.
So Boyanna asks, do you have any advice how small businesses and self-employed can support each other to feel more like a part of a bigger picture? So you would have dealt with many people, both with Legacy and Pep Talk. Any advice taken from things that you've learned from that?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think setting up, trying to get involved with some peer-to-peer networks is very important. Obviously, there's loads of initiatives. Leo, I've been at several of them over the years, where you're just getting to meet like-minded people and getting to throw the same ideas. I know James has done a lot with us as well. And he's done a lot with Enterprise Ireland as we moved from Leo into Enterprise Ireland as a high potential startup with Pep Talk. Understand, getting in the room with people like you, because you think that your challenges are unique. You think that they have never come around and you're having sleepless nights, but I guarantee every challenge you've had, a lot of people probably on this call, but a lot of people are dealing with it and have had the same issues. So there's so much learnings, and that's why we've a mentor network that especially in the tech world, we're not tech people that went into it. So we've really leaned on a lot of people in the technology world, because mistakes are very costly, because obviously you're building technology and stuff like that. So we've relied heavily on peer-to-peer networks and people who've been there and done it. And so yeah, it's about getting into those networks and asking questions. I think people are so willing to help, and people are so willing to give advice or share their learnings. Like, I think we're brilliant at that in Ireland about helping each other. I think we're bad at asking for help, but I think there's loads of opportunity out there for people to.
Yeah, so a quick, you'd be glad to know, on my screen I saw 22 new comments, but they're not all questions, because they're all saying thank you very much for the book. And one person is saying there, I missed the code, so I better share it back up again if I can. So if you go to menti.com, and the code is 3075090. And the criteria was a simple one. We wanted to reward the people who have been turning up week in, week out and enjoying the Fingal Business Connect. So if you have registered for this session online, right, and then you log in here and it matches both. So in other words, you've been dedicated, made a booking, turned up, you will be prioritized with the book. I have no idea how many we have, but there's a couple of big boxes of them. I know that's there. So we'll see. I know there's a couple of dozen of them. So it's fastest finger first. It's like being in the hot seat of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Whoever can type it in first will be able to. I'm
post this call. I'm going over to sign them, so they will be signed as well. So
signed is, oh geez, they'll be worth a fortune, Bernard. This is it, right? Well, I don't know how many's in the boxes over there, Bernard, but your wrist could be sore, because I know there's quite a few of them, and we've 55 people in the room. So I don't want to say there'll be quite one for everyone in the audience, but.
We'll make sure there is. If you get it up there, we'll make sure there's enough for everyone.
Well, there we go. That's what we'll do. You heard it here now, and it's been recorded, so we're going to do it. But yeah, no, I have no idea that there will be one for. I have no doubt that there'll be one for everyone in the audience. So let's have a quick look. A few more. And Andrew Peters, I've created my own startup a few months ago. Is there any relevant financial assistance, networking opportunities that my local enterprise office can provide? Now, Bernard, you mentioned it earlier on. I'm going to bounce back into my browser there again, and the local enterprise office. So we're here from Fingal today, but we also have many people from outside of Fingal, and you go to localenterprise.ie/your local area. So I'm going to put in Fingal on this one, and keep an eye on the local enterprise office website. Now, over the last couple of weeks, this has been changing nearly on an hourly basis, never mind on a daily basis, as supports have been announced, and also the legacy ones use a little bit of a keyword there for you, Bernard, but the ones that have been there for years. So financial supports, feasibility grants, priming grants, business expansion grants, the Minor Finance Ireland fund is there, and that has been revamped in response to the pandemic and the challenges we have. The trading online voucher, ladies and gentlemen, we got some great news the other day. It is continuing into 2021. Now, for the last 6-7 years, this year I've included, but 6 years prior to April, it was 50% co-funding. If you spent an amount of money improving your trading online presence, you got 50% of that spend back, up to a maximum of €2,500. That is running for 2021, and it's great to hear that. So keep an eye on the websites, and those of you that have participated in the trading online voucher in the last couple of weeks, you'll know it's at 90%, and the deadline to get that 90% is your application in by 5 p.m. on the 31st of December. After that, it reverts back to the 50%. And the training has started back, so keep an eye on the calendar. As we go into 2021, you're going to see an awful lot of supports that have been going on continuously. And as AnnMarie mentioned there, Brexit, we still don't know what's going to happen. But when we do, there will be some information seminars popping up here, and you'll be able to book them. So I suppose I'm going to go back then to Bernard from you. When you were starting out, and I think I met you a couple of times on your journey with James, how did the local enterprise office help you? What kind of supports did you avail of?
All of them.
All of them, good man.
Genuinely, as a startup, like, the most important thing is to keep the show on the road. Cash flow, any supports you can get are so important. And we have utilised and worked very closely with Noel and your team to actually avail of them. And that's why they're there, fundamentally. I just wrote down there 2 things as you were talking there. I said the advice and the training you do is practical advice. It's literally, this is what you do today, or this is what you do tomorrow. When you get educated in the colleges, they talk about theory. Fundamentally, what Leo's trying to do is to practically help you be better tomorrow. And that's the most important thing, about how do I help my day to day? And I think that's really important. And the second thing is I wrote down just grants and underlined it. There's so many supports there. I've availed of the online trading voucher. You helped us with our first, until you couldn't help us anymore, until I think you get to a certain level, I think over 10 people. But with every one of our employees, there was an initial help start to get you through the first couple of months, basically kind of joint fund type thing, get you up and away, let your clients catch up with you, or winning a bit of new business to help capture those cash flow initiatives and stuff like that. So fundamentally, yeah, we availed as much as we could, and we stayed close, like, you know what I mean, and we came to some of the events, we showed for some of the training. And not everything is, obviously, people are busy, and sometimes you say, oh, I don't have time to do that stuff. You don't have time to do everything. Pick 1 or 2 things that are key to you, a skill set that you don't have, or an area that you're not really strong in, and just get in that room, ask questions, make some peer-to-peer, like, especially, I know there's no on-site at the moment, but there will be on-site again, please God, soon. Those people in the room are people in business that you need to connect and build your network up, because you never know, like, so many people have met over those years, have become friends, have become allies, have bounced ideas off, have become mentors, and different people along the way. And so, yeah, like, loads of stuff, too much to mention now, to be honest with you. And it's I know people in this call are invested, they're motivated, they're here, you know what I mean? So there's no talking to the converted, please God. And I wish more businesses would avail of the supports and services. And I know you do a great job of marketing that, and it's very important. Because it is tough at the moment, you know, and there is a challenge out there, but there is a way, and there is positivity, and there is a way of getting through it.
Yeah, and listen, thanks for the shout out, but I need to be honest about this. So the Entrepreneurs Academy are only one of the many companies, coaches and trainers that work with the local enterprise offices nationwide, and we've been thrilled to be involved with Fingal and all the initiatives that have been introduced this year, and but we're only one of a very large team of people. And by the way, you have a fan in the local enterprise office. She sent me a private message. Carmela is in the office, and she's dying to see you when you come out to sign the books. So there might be a book there for you to sign as well. Give a shout out to Carmela there. I've embarrassed her now, but there you go. There could be quite a queue of people there now, socially distanced, of course, 2 meters apart now, Bernard. Absolutely. You're getting a lot of thanks for turning up today, and I'm going to add on to that one. I know you have a hard stop that I promised I'd let you go for.
Actually, what I'm doing is I'm actually, as you say, you talk about building your networks. What I'm doing now, and why I have to leave at 1:30, I'm doing a thing called Lessons from the Hill. Obviously, I wrote the book, but there's been a great conversation starter. So I've done 4 with Pep Talk, and done my first one with Legacy today. So I send a book out to my clients, and we invite them in with 15, 20 people, and we talk about sport and culture and lessons and learn from business. And what is that doing? It's we're not going to meet anyone for Christmas party. We're not going to see any of our clients, but we've invited them, even those that say no, they feel a warm towards legacy because they've been invited. Sometimes a no is as good as a yes when you're inviting people to something. So getting out there, meeting your clients, talking to them. So we'll have 15, 20 clients now at 1:30. We'll talk through, have a little bit of crack. And we've had that touch point pre-Christmas. And those are the small things. We talk about rebuilding your network. It's difficult through Zoom. People are busy, but there is a way. And coming up with a little, like, it's free. Like we've sent out a few books. That's the only cost, and everyone will please God, come away from that with a positive engagement.
Oh, Bernard, you're fantastic. And there's loads of people saying thank you. I spotted one here. Geraldine Mahoney says, thank you so much. Bernard has spoken of two of her events for the UCD Soccer Scholarship Fundraisers. You're a complete gentleman and very interesting to listen to. And a very happy Christmas from Ger. But I'm going to say a very happy Christmas from everybody. Now, here's something I've never done before. We protect the room so that you can't unmute yourself and cause carnage. I've just switched on the ability to unmute yourself. I'm going to ask everyone in the room to do that. And would you join with me to thank not just the local enterprise office for the support, but also, which I think has been a fantastic way to finish off, would you give Bernard Brogan and the entire team from the local enterprise office a massive round of applause. Thank you so much indeed. You get cheers as well. So this is it.
6 in a row now next Saturday, guys.
Yes.
I'll see you later. I know. Cheers.
Fingers crossed.
Brilliant. So I'm going to mute everyone back there again. You can unmute yourself there in a second, but thank you so much to Bernard. And I know I promised him I'd let him go at 1:15 because we had a prior engagement for 1:30. But I really appreciate him. A great guy, isn't he? And you can see where the Dublin team gets its inspiration, and from if you have players like that and team players like that, it really does lead to success, and that does in business as well. So we're going to continue, which was the ethos of the whole Fingal Connects and Business Connects program, was to do a little bit of networking. Over the last couple of weeks, we have had a phenomenal time learning how to use some of the new tools that are presented to us, and Zoom gave us that opportunity to open up some networking rooms and the ability for you to join in those. So what I'm going to ask you to do, and we've been doing this for the last couple of weeks, if you have any suggestions of how to theme some of the rooms, I'm going to set them up live now. So some of the themes that we've been using for the last couple of weeks was, let me see, I'm going to open up, how many have we got? We've got 50 people. So I'm going to open up about 10 rooms.